Moving on to speaking. Okay, yeah, I'm conscious of time. We are a bit behind, but okay. Let's try to catch up. Okay, so speaking, 4 parts, about 14 minutes to candidates to examiners, okay, which allows for interaction with the examiner and interaction with our partner, okay, different types of interaction. If you want to know more, please scan the QR code. What do we need to bear in mind? That in the speaking exam, what we want is that you show your ability to communicate at B2 level. What does this mean? Well, it means that you can use a variety, again, of grammar and vocabulary, that you can use some complex structures, and that the language that you're using is appropriate. In terms of discourse management, that you don't repeat your ideas, that the ideas are relevant, you're not speaking about something else, and that you are also using a variety of cohesive devices, these linkers, pronouns, and so on. Can I give an example of a complex grammar structure? Maybe we will look at this in a moment, right? But maybe using modal verbs, conditionals, things like that that are a bit more advanced. Also, in terms of interaction, initiating and responding, that you are initiating the conversation, that you are responding as well to your partner's ideas, that you don't need a lot of support. You can always ask for repetition. I think we all do that, even in our mother tongue. Sometimes we then catch something and we need to ask for repetition. That's okay. That's not a problem. The only thing is that if it happens again and again, maybe it shows that you can't understand. And also that you negotiate, okay? So you try to reach an agreement. And then in terms of pronunciation, your intonation, the stress in the words, and that you are intelligible. Okay, we are not looking for native accents. What we are looking for is that you can communicate, that people can understand you. And that you can manage your discourse. This has to do with the use of linking words, of how you structure what you are saying, that you don't end up repeating ideas, and what I said, like you don't go off topic. And also your interaction, this the bubbles, the orange bubbles. Maria, I will talk about this in a moment, okay? But examiners are well trained to give candidates an equivalent opportunity to speak, okay? So I will talk about that in a minute. Use all the opportunities that you are given to speak in the test, okay? So when you are asked a question, make the most of your time and extend your responses when possible and when appropriate, okay? It is true that in some parts of the exam, we want you to be brief. In other parts of the exams, we give you the opportunity to speak for longer. So it's also important that you are familiar with that. How can you extend your responses? This is something that maybe you feel you are not very confident about this. First, express views on a more general level. Remember that there is no right or wrong answer. Try to add a reason, an example, the same recommendation we made for writing, right? Try to develop your ideas by using reasons and examples, and then refer to your partner's ideas if appropriate. Okay, so if your partner has mentioned something, maybe you can refer to it and extend it a bit more. and listen to your partner when it is their turn to speak. Okay, sometimes we can see, or I could see my students when we were doing this type of activity, that when it was the other person's turn to speak, one of the candidates was just thinking of what they were going to say next, and then you lose the opportunity of listening to what they are saying and then refer back to it. So really listen to your partner. And how can you interact with your partner? Use eye contact, make eye contact. Okay, face each other. When you are in part 3, don't face the examiner. Face each other, look at each other, and make that connection, because I think that will make the conversation flow nicely. And discuss the ideas together, not in turns. Okay, so again, listen to what they are saying, try to refer to that, and react to what they have been saying. Make sure you are taking turns, that you are not dominating the conversation. Okay, because if you do dominate, then you are not interacting, which is what we want in this part of the exam. We want to see how you are able to interact with your partner. Okay, so make sure you are giving your partner opportunities to speak. Respond. If your partner has asked you for your opinion, make sure you respond before you move on to talk about something else. As I said, refer back to your partner's ideas, trying to expand them a bit more. And always, when you have finished mentioning what you wanted to mention, prompt your partner to take over. Okay, so what do you think? What's your view? Do you agree? Or something like that. Some of the language that you may need to use in the speaking part 3. Functional language to express agreement, disagreement, to add information, to express contrast, to ask for someone's opinion. Also to negotiate for an outcome. Okay, so if you have different opinions, I'm not sure I agree, I see what you mean, but okay, so be familiar and make sure you know how to use different expressions to carry out these functions. And of course, different adjectives to describe situations, feelings, attitudes. These are always useful. And now we've got some of your questions. I see that you were asking about partners, and this is something that you need to check with your exam center. In some cases, you may be able to go with, if you are in a school, you may be able to go with your partner, someone you have been working with throughout the course, for example. But in some other cases, if you are just registering for the exam and you don't know anyone, then the exam center will assign a partner. Okay, so what happens if you speak for less, or you don't go, you don't cover all the minutes or the time that you have been allotted? Well, first of all, remember that it's all about positive marking. Okay, so we will mark what you produce. Of course, try to speak for as long as you can. Wait until the examiner says thank you. Try to show the English you know, the variety, the complexity, the accuracy. Okay, this is really the important part. And also practice so you know how long 1 minute or 2 minutes feel. Okay, because it is true that it may feel like it's 1 hour and it's only 1 minute, but sometimes it goes by very, very quickly. So make sure you practice. And And this is some of the questions has to do with some of the questions I've seen in the chat. So what happens if my partner gets stuck and fails to speak? How do you assess shy students? Well, first thing, you have to know that our examiners are trained for situations where one candidate is stronger or weaker. Okay, we understand that, you know, it's a stressful situation. You are in an exam situation. So we have that, we bear that in mind, and they are trained to give students the same opportunities to speak. So if one student has been maybe talking for longer in the speaking part 3, we try to balance it up in part 4. And if, you know, we always try to encourage the students to speak, but it's important also that you understand that examiners can only assess what you show them in the exam. So please try to speak as much as possible, try to show all the English you know. And something that I think is important is that you increase your confidence. You have mentioned that speaking makes you nervous. We understand that, but it's important that you try to increase your confidence. First, by understanding the task, okay, understanding what you need to do in the task, and to become familiar with the exam format. Okay, so what are the elements of the exam situation? Number of examiners, number of candidates, the timing. How can you become familiar with the format? Check our videos, which are available on YouTube, and show a real exam situation. And then practice. And take advantage of self-assessment and peer assessment. We've got sample papers available on our website. Here you can see the type of questions that you will get asked in part 1. Make sure you are familiar with them so you know what to expect. Not because we want you to memorize them. That's not the point. We want you to produce natural language, and memorizing is really not a good idea, but just because we want you to be familiar so you know what to expect. Refer back to the assessment criteria, the success criteria, okay? So you can tell your partner or how well they did, and if you can give them feedback. And as I say, practice as much as possible. Record yourself and assess your performance so you become aware of your strengths and your weaknesses. You don't need to use only exam material. Go online and check all the resources that we've got available, and just like find different situations in which you can practice how to agree or disagree, how to take the floor, how to think about expressions to buy time, okay, to give you time to think, to practice modal verbs, to justify your answers, and so on. Become familiar with the exam tasks. Try to increase your creativity by covering the options, thinking about what you already know, how you can relate topics to your experience, giving your opinion. And then, of course, you've got your teacher, you've got your partners, your classmates. Make sure you get their feedback as well. And refer back to the videos and the examiner comments available with the videos, so you can see what a good performance looks like, and also to get ideas how to improve. Understand the context. We know it's high stakes. It's a very important situation for you. The examiners know this. Everyone is aware. Just become familiar with the context, okay? Make sure you know well the time the exam is, where you need to go, remember that there will be a person who will lead you to the speaking room, to this exam room, sorry. There will be 2 speaking examiners in the room. You will have your mark sheets. I don't know, all the routine and all the formats of the exam. For that, make sure you are familiar with the information for candidates booklets, which are available on our website. Check with your teacher, check with the exam center, and also try to control your feelings. Find a routine. Okay, something that I always did for my speaking exams was to read aloud before. So I got into the the way of articulating English sounds. So that for me worked very well. I woke up, I didn't wake up very, very early. I wanted to be fresh, but that's something that I did. And I found that it really helped me to, I don't know, become more confident, become more relaxed. And remember that you are ready, okay, that you've worked a lot, that you're familiar with the exam situation, and that you are ready for it. And I'm conscious of time. I want to leave some time for your questions. So I'm just going to finish with some additional resources. I'm going to go through them very quickly. Okay, the guides for writing, the section on our website with all the resources you may need. Test and train in case you want to give it a try. It's our learning tool that gives you practice for the exam, authentic practice. Grammar use, if you want to make sure that the grammar, the vocabulary that you are practicing is at the right level. Okay. Sorry, test and train and the in-use products are not free. Okay, they are paid for. Then we also have a special section if you have special requirements. Okay, if you have visual, hearing, speaking difficulties, learning difficulties, we've got a section for you. Check with your exam center. There is a lot that we can offer in terms of adaptations. Make sure you are familiar with this. There was also a question about how long you need to prepare for the exam. I'm going to go again through this very quickly. You can see there is a range, and basically it depends on your situation. Okay, how intense, let's say, your preparation is, how long you can practice at home, and if you are in a English speaking country, if you are in your home country, all these factors have a lot to do. For specific questions about the exam, whether you can go to a toilet, whether you can drink water, please check the information for candidates. Everything is in there. Basically, you can drink water, you can have a clear plastic bottle of water on your desk, and you can go to a toilet during breaks, if it's a must, during papers, except for listening, in which it would be an emergency, really. You also had questions about mixing American and British English. You can use either American or British English. Try to be consistent. Common mistakes, I think, is using the exact words used in the question paper, try to rephrase, and also memorizing long answers. Okay, don't memorize answers. That's not the point of the exam. Make sure you are familiar with the exam, but don't memorize.